This will be the fourth iteration of the CB400 FOUR rebuild series. Originally, I didn't have any goals at all with this bike. I was just happy to have a distraction from some pretty difficult times. It's certainly a once-in-a-lifetime barn find type deal though. In the previous videos, we got it fired up and decided what should be done to make it reliable as a road runner. Those goals have been proven, but the bike was hardly something that I could call complete. And I mean, are they really ever done? This episode brings the bike up to my standard, something to be proud of and something worth turning your head for when I cruise by. As I made this video, and as I spent the summer grabbing for the 400 keys over and over and over again, I realized just how much it gives back.
Hey there folks, and welcome back. If you're here for the first time, this is our CB400F project. This is the fourth video in the series where we've kind of worked to take a look at this bike, see if it runs. Of course it ran, it's a Honda, and then get it in a state where it's safe to, ride on the road. We took it about 200 miles home on the back roads, and it did pretty good. Noticed some issues with the carburetors. And I think I've also got a fuel issue that might be related to the Petcock. Hopefully we don't have to pull the carbs again. Those carb boots can be kind of a nightmare. I'm sure I'll get used to it eventually. We've got it in pretty good shape, but I think we can take it a little bit further. The fender had been cut. I'm not really a fan of that. It drives me nuts, and I know that it drives some of you nuts. So we're gonna put a new fender, new taillight on here. I've got a different exhaust for it. And I've got some little things like cables to update on the bike just to really kind of bring it home. And I'm not going to sit here and talk too much more because I know that you folks would really like to get into the weeds with this bike, and probably more importantly, we'd like to see it go down the road and just enjoy it.
I've made us a good old-fashioned cardboard list as a visual aid, and also because I tend to forget a little bit more than I remember. Let's see if we can take care of everything on it, but just don't expect me to go in order.
Yeah, that's a no for me. It could be a little bit worse, but still a no for me. Nope. Nope. Nada. Also a no. Probably still a no. Clutch cable's not right either. Bummer. Absolutely not. No thank you. Nope. Just to show you guys the before here, so we've got this awesome Marshall, I think it's a super tone or deep tone exhaust, and I think it's gonna fit. It says Honda 400F on it. Seller couldn't tell me anything. I ordered a lot of these parts from Japan, so these are supposed to be the correct cables. I ordered some from eBay, and they had the right part numbers, but they were both the wrong cable, so I just decided to get some from WeBike. This is not OEM, but it is Japanese made, and it seems to be very high quality. I like the orange reflectors there. Got this new cap. Got assorted hardware. We've got a new wire harness. We've got new link plates, new valve, float seat, needle seats, whatever you want to call them. And that's actually not for this bike. It could be for this bike, but it's not. And then we've got our fender and light assembly bracket. Not OEM. I think they're made in Taiwan, but they seem to be really good quality. This came from CMS and this came from Japan. Got our Petcock. And then I've got a bunch of spark plugs because I kept forgetting I ordered spark plugs, and that's still running the ones that were in it when it was new. So probably going to change those out and get a plug reading. We also have this little OEM foot for the exhaust so that the center stand doesn't rub, assuming it fits. Don't over tighten these. Don't break your triple tree. Okay, so what you need to know for chain replacement is the first step is to get covered in grease. Chain lube, whatever. We've got ourselves a DID or Dido roller chain, generally regarded as good quality, etc. Now, I don't remember, I think this is like 94 link chain or something, and the one that I have here is 120 because it's just kind of a, you know, it's not cut for this bike or anything. Got our chains lined up here, and we want to break the chain. Pretty simple, right? I must have been using this on a baby. Oh, there we go. And, you know, I realize I'm replacing the chain here. Everybody, generally you should also replace the sprockets. I'm not replacing the sprockets because I like to have this OEM cover just for a little bit longer. They really don't look worn, and I'm gonna keep it. So you can throw your criticisms in the comments if you like. Or better yet, if you know where to get a sprocket that has these covers on them like the OEM style, that would be even cooler, because I feel like I've looked everywhere and maybe it's right under my nose and I haven't found it. But if you know, leave it down in the comments. In the middle of slapping this chain on here, the old shift shaft seal is leaking because I saw this back here. I thought maybe it was the main seal. Thankfully, it's not, because that'd be really annoying. And I'm probably jinxing myself. I know there's some guys in Japan, it's like, again, motorcycles or whatever, and they make a little CNC thing with a needle bearing in here, and it goes right in this slot, and it keeps the pressure off of this. So it's supposed to make shifting feel better, but also keep that seal from going bad and yada yada. Since I declared part of this video is, you know, tidying this bike up, I'm gonna see if we can shine this up a little bit. It's, you know, looks like somebody hit it with a Brillo pad. I'm gonna be very careful because there are spots where there's not a whole lot left. Give it just a little bit of this polish and just scrub it by hand and see if we get any positive results. Again, not going for perfect, just going for something. And I've done this on a few parts of the bike. It's not like this is the only time or the first time that I've tried this. I think that was worth the 30 seconds it took. Might do a little more right there. Okay, we're calling her good. This fender wouldn't have been in too bad a shape if it wasn't cut. previous owner had taken it mudding. I'll bring you in here. Let's see if we can get in there and see the mud. I'm gonna clean up that inner fender well, I think, just because, well, bugs me. It's kind of gross. Apparently that just comes right out. Come on, buddy. Get all this cleaned up. Back to it. Love this stuff. I'm gonna be sad when this can's gone because I can't find any more of it. Not perfect, but better than it was. Thinking I might want to just hose this off, so I'll be right back. All right, not perfect. Tried to polish a little, put some sealant on it. It's better than it was, right? And it came out. How do I get it back in? It's the real question here. There we go. There's these two clips. We have this metal plate here. And then there's a tab here and a tab here, and they kind of have to floss, if you will. And what I did before is I pulled it up and then I pushed it down. So I need to push it down and then pull it up. Probably not gonna film the whole assembly of this, but I've got all the OEM rubbers that go in here, and the bolts, and the pass-throughs, although this came with some more chromer hardware, so I might go with that, but also have to migrate some rubber bits that I couldn't find online from the old Fender here. And then I've got a new wire harness to run through here as well, because the other one's cut up. And hopefully all goes smooth. I don't see any reason why, it wouldn't. So we'll get this put together and then meet back up with y'all. Okay, get the wires through. I need to tweak that maybe a little bit, but I think that's going to be a little better looking. Not everything was perfectly the same, and like I said, I gotta tuck those, but they have the channels and everything for them, so mint. We'll get this on. Very excited to see how it looks. Now let's see if we have a working light, or lights, plural. Get this cool keychain. Probably paid a little too much for it, but they sent me 2 of them. I mean, it's pretty cool. All right. The other brake light when it come on, but you couldn't tell it was on, which is just about as bad as not coming on at all. So first, turn signals. Cool beans. We got a light in there. Now what happens if we press the brake pedal? Nice. What a difference that Fender makes, man. I've been tidying things up here and there, off camera too, so save you all the boring stuff, but made our list. We didn't look at it in depth because, well, it could be a little boring, but we can mark some stuff off. So we've got hardware, I think, done. Fender and rear light are done. Chain is done. Stator cover is done. Do this like my project managers. What percentage? When do you think it'll be complete? So, all right, we'll start to tackle the rest of the stuff here. I think we're going to do the Petcock and the throttle cables next, and then go for a test ride, see if the Petcock fixes it. If not, then we'll be tearing the carbs out. Oh, you know, I forgot. The most important one is gonna put the exhaust on. But we'll do that after the carbs are right, because, well, we don't want to. I don't think it's going to change the tuning, but if it changed the tuning or something, at least we'll know that it's not the carbs. We're gonna pull this tank off and check the Petcock, see what's going on there. Maybe put some new throttle cables on, and maybe the valves today. I mean, I got to do them sometime, but do I feel like doing them today is the question. Hey, what are you guys doing over there? We're trying to work on the tank. Y'all coming or not? Am I proud of this? Kinda. You know, I have this habit wherein that I fill up all my tanks often, usually when I come home, because my parents would always leave things on empty, so I never leave things on empty. So I try to take the fuel bottle, or the can, because I don't know how old the gas is in that, put it in one of the fuel injected bikes. They're all full. So the thing's totally full. I'm still going to put the Petcock on. I've gone through the trouble of pulling it off, but thought y'all might like the comical setup here. Hopefully I don't regret it. Okay, so I'll keep this brief. Trying to keep the videos interesting, but the old flea bay says it would work, but the thread's not right, and that's my fault. I didn't check it. So it'll go back on the shelf. And I totally hosed the gasket. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot left of it, but tank's not going back on today. So it is what it is. You know, I'll be fine. I'm not frustrated about this at all. Definitely not. Thought to myself, let's go ahead and put the cables on. That'd be easy. It's cold today. Well, if we got to pull the carbs, I don't see any reason to pull the cables, put new cables on, take the cables back apart, pull the carbs, see what we can do there, get the carburetors pulled apart. Okay, so carbs came out pretty quick. Clue you all in on some things here for removing the carbs. A couple tips that have helped me in the past. When you're taking these loose, open them wider than you think you need to. Don't back the screw out all the way or you'll, be really annoyed, but pull them out wider than you think you would, because when they get, the carbs are expanding in the rubber, it's going to tighten up on you. The other thing is, you probably hear it running in the background, the space heater. Had that pointed at both sides of the carb boots for just a little. I didn't get them hot, but I got them warm, and that really makes all the difference, getting those in and out. So super nice. Something else you can do, especially when they're old, is just put a little swoop of grease in there. They come right in and out the next time you need to. Get these carbs opened up and see what we find. See who's the problem. Try to do this without spilling whatever might be in the bowls. Where's my JIS? Okay. So I don't think the DJI is gonna show this. Actually, let's get found those little guys, pieces of brass down on the bottom of the carb bowl. That one little tiny hair there was in one of the jets, which, that could do it, So, because I'm in here, and because I've got these floating needle set, I'm going to replace them and put these back together. My thoughts, obviously it seemed to be fueling related. The other thing that it could be is that our spark advance is not always advancing. I haven't checked that, and it's got 50-year-old grease on it, so maybe we'll take a look at that. This is turning into way more of a thing than I thought it was going to be, but that's how motorcycles are. So get these back together and back on the bike. Again, if you want to know how to rebuild these carbs and work on them, I have a video that goes through it. Some of the other videos show, it says 350, 400, 500, 550. I don't know if they're specific enough. I have a video for the 350 and 400 carbs. So it's worth checking it out if you need that. If you don't, it's probably going to be very boring. So, all right. So I've got the carburetor needles replaced. Well, needles and seats. And they seem to be pretty close. If we can focus, thank you. We got them I'm pretty happy with where we're sitting. A license plate for a motorcycle seems to be just perfect for holding these guys at the right angle to test these. And the original floats, or float needles, I should quit calling them floats, but the original float needles and seats are what I had to go with to resolve my problem before. I had the 4-into-1s, they were leaking, and I had to adjust the float height for those. And then I had to put these back in, adjust the float height again. And they still work, but the little springy guys in there were pretty weak on a couple of the carbs. And I figured if I'm probably going to have to pull the carbs, then I should just replace them. They're not cheap, but I've given up on, every time I go cheap, it bites me in the butt. So, for essential things like this at least. These, I did have to adjust the floats, but they seem to be good quality. I'll test them for leaks and what have you. And then get these buttoned up, put them back on the bike, and hopefully we'll be able to rip and ride. Depends on if the weather's going to cooperate. One day it's, freezing out, and the next day it's hot, and next day it's tornadoes or something. So, I guess we'll just
see. Probably should also adjust the fast idle. Do that with a feeler gauge. I'll show you guys.
So I'm going to be adjusting the valves, and you might be asking, well, didn't you adjust the valves not too long ago on this bike? Technically, it's been several months, but in the scheme of service intervals, yes, it was recent. The reason that I'm doing the valves again is because I didn't have on hand the appropriate feeler gauge. And this one is 0.05 millimeters, or I think it's 0.002, which is the spec for this engine and probably several other Honda 4s. I just didn't have one that was that thin. The other thing I'm happy about here, or hopefully will be happy, is the way that this is angled. This is a Motion Pro, and not sponsored by them or anything, obviously, but we'll see how it goes. It was not cheap, and it's totally fine. I wanted to go with one that seemed a little bit nicer, a little bit easier to deal with. So I'm going to adjust the valves. I'll make that another video if that's something that you are concerned about, and keep this one more, not action-packed, but I guess action-packed. So we'll get the valves taken care of here, and then we'll move on, get the carbs on, and kind of get things buttoned up. Also, something to note, somebody finally said something about it. I thought for sure that it would come up sooner, but it's taken a while. Taken till my third video here. This is not how this clutch cable is supposed to go. It's supposed to be tucked in. When I first started working on the bike, I didn't really pay a whole lot of mind to it. I just saw that it was here when I got the bike, the previous owner, if you will. I'm going to be moving it. I just couldn't find anywhere at the time where it was definitively supposed to go. So I just figured I'll leave it there. We'll take care of it, I promise. I've got the cables pulled off, and really the OEM ones are fine still, but it's been a hassle finding the right ones for this taller bar setup. And I know some of you have commented on I should lower the bars and I should put the foot pegs to the F1 or the Euro standard, but for those of you who are not privy, all the wires run up into the bar, and it's a huge pain in the butt if you've ever done it. But for now, staying on track, I am going to go ahead and stick these in, and then get our carburetors there on the floor plugged back in. Just kind of letting them, they had a little bit of fuel still in them, letting that evaporate so that I don't get it everywhere. But I'm going to get them back in, and then get the bottle on, take it for a test drive, get it warm, sync the carburetors again, make sure that it revs out and it's running properly and there's no issues. From there, I'm hoping the Petcock comes in tomorrow. If it doesn't, I might get impatient and find an O-ring for the old one that I took out. Because what I'd like to do, what the goal here is to get it all sorted, and then I've got this exhaust here that I found on eBay. I have no idea what it sounds like. I don't know if I'm gonna have to adjust my tuning or anything like that. So that's why I'm kind of doing everything to get it right, and then we'll put this on and see how it goes. As far as I can tell, it's gonna fit, but I could be wrong. Let's get to it. Got the carbs on, the new cables on. I think they're a little long. I don't know. I didn't pay enough attention. They've got more slack than I would think you would want, but then again, so does everything else. The clutch cable seems more lined up, but I don't know. We'll see. And maybe I need to double check the routing diagram, but it's how they were before, which, you know, we saw the Fender, so doesn't mean that it's good. So this is something I never bothered with. It was something I was like, yeah, I'll just leave it. I don't really care. Down here, you get some foam in there, and the oil that comes back from the crankcase breather, I think, is supposed to go down in there. So I don't remember where it plugs in at, but it's supposed to be down in there. That's not the important part. The important part is that crust. So you can see, I was like, you know, on the top, with a little bit of dirt on there, because I haven't done that many miles, right? And then I'm like, oh, that's dirty. And then I turned it all the way to the bottom, and I see all that crap, and it's all that old foam. And I've got some uni foam. Yes, down here. And I might cut a little smidge of that, stick it down in there and clean all that up, because, well, it's not doing us any favors. And then we'll fire it up. I do want to fire it up, but I don't know that, you know, it's going to be in a state where we can do all the tuning necessary. So tomorrow, no rain, but it's supposed to be colder. It's supposed to be like 5 degrees Celsius. Don't remember what that is in American unit, 45, 50 degrees. It's going to be tolerable, but not great. So she's looking good. And you can tell I've got my thing of semi-chrome down there. I've been polishing away, just kind of cleaning things as I go. This would be, you know, the example here, because that's kind of gross. So we'll take care of that, fire it up, and then for me it'll be tomorrow before we get any further. So okay, gas has been on for, you know, long enough. I'll probably want to hold it up. I don't know if there's any gas in an old girl, but, or any battery. I want that oil pressure light to go off. There we go. Oh, I forgot to choke it. Come on. Probably should take that filter out, but oh. There we go. I messed with the choke settings, so that's why the confusion on the starting there. When I say choke, I mean the fast idle. I need to probably put it back. Not sure we're on all cylinders, but now we are. The fast idle cam was, there's no space in it. So I think it might have been bumping up against the idle a little bit. I never did fool with it because it got me where I needed to go at the time. And if you're curious what I'm talking about, it's down, it's this little guy. So they want you to have a little feeler gauge in there with the choke off, but you know, when it's warm. But there's a little flat head, it's just a pain in the butt, so I didn't do it last time. And yeah, so we'll have to fool with that a little bit. Definitely need to get that filter off or get something taller to hold this up. Just kidding. All right, I'll bring y'all in for real this time. Got rid of the fuel filter. There was a piece of junk in there. Hopefully it doesn't get into the carbs. We'll see. Now that I've bothered the neighbors plenty, we can go back to our list. So we need an S here, and then we'll say we're done there. Petcock, not done. The carbs are done. Valves are done. Don't know if I'm gonna try this. I'm just a little, I don't know. I need to do some research. I say we're about 80% of the cleaning that I wanted to do. We'll do the exhaust again after I get everything else done, but moving right along. Okay, so the Petcock that we've got on order is stuck in customs. It's not coming anywhere exotic. It's from Canada. This place called SCI, Serious Consolidation or something. I don't know. I've bought a couple of like pretty obscure parts off of them, but I'm impatient, so I crammed the old Petcock back on the tank and it doesn't leak. So what's left of the O-ring is, it's got one more trip around the block in it. So I'm gonna fire this up, get it warmed up, and then we'll put the tank on and go for a ride and make sure it's solid. Sometimes I feel like I don't get enough fuel out of the bottle, especially not on a bike where it's kind of level there. We'll make sure it runs and rides okay, and then we'll put that exhaust on. I hope it fits. I'm really excited about it. If it doesn't, I'm out $100. Okay, so I'm gonna play with the idle a little bit. It fired right over, even though it's about 43 degrees Fahrenheit, 6 degrees Celsius. So let's go give it its inaugural rebuild ride. Tweak the idle here a little as we go. Probably have to tweak the fast idle. just sounds so good. The sync has to be close because, well, it wouldn't run this good. I mean, it sounds good. Like you can just hear when it's right. We don't have a ton of fuel, so I can't go very far. I think she's doing good. She's very happy. Okay, I better turn around. I'm pushing my luck. All right, so I'm going to briefly explain what we're trying to do here. I'm going to synchronize the carburetors. I have this really nice carb mate tool. It makes it really easy, so you've got -4, +4, and the lights kind of just move wherever, who's pulling more, and then we can adjust our resolution. What I need to do before I start it up is zero it out so it's in the center. Then we'll fire up the bike, and we can start on our low resolution and then move higher. We get it to the middle, and you adjust that here. We've got these steel link plates and then lock nut and a flat head, and you just give it a little bit of a tweak until these are even. And then I'll move this from carb 2 over to carb 3 and then over to carb 4, and just make sure we're pretty close. Now, I didn't mess around, I didn't smash this up too much up here, so I'm hoping that this is still going to be pretty close. The test ride suggests that it was pretty close, but we'll see. Okay, and don't recommend this. I've got this on the battery charger. The voltage never seems to stick. And I don't know what's going on, because my voltage is always good on, like, when I check it, it's charging, you know, and I know that starting it can be hard on it if I'm doing that over and over again, but I don't know. Other times I wonder how long these AGMs have been sitting. When I get them, it had a higher resting voltage, which I think means it's going bad on the AGM sometimes. The point here is that this carb mate tool won't read right if the battery voltage is low. And obviously the bike doesn't run as good if the battery is low. So anyway. So you can see on the resolution, the most critical, like if we're at the lowest resolution, it's good. When we crank it down, it's a little off. It's probably fine, but I'm gonna tweak it. So, figured for the first test ride, I haven't eaten anything all day today, so it's about 2 p.m. here in the lovely Louisville, Kentucky, home of bourbon and horses, and a lot of excitement over a 2-minute horse race. This is the season where we start to get doing all these crazy festivals and everything, and then it's all for Derby. But anyway, whoops. I wanted to take it out on its sort of, you know, first ride here and get some Skyline hot dogs. Skyline chili is what it is, but I like the hot dogs. Good grief, it's windy. going right into a headwind. I figured I'm gonna go to the cycle shop. We have Cycle Gear, which is owned by Revzilla, which is also owns Fortnite or whatever. Everybody's familiar with them, I think, at this point. Get some license plate holders and a battery charger. But first, I'm going to get some Skyline chili. So it's kind of a Cincinnati, Ohio thing. And they call it chili, but it's kind of like a gravy almost. I don't know where the delineation is there, but it's its own thing. And they pour it over spaghetti, or hot dogs, or you can just eat it by itself. And really, you know, I'm from Ohio, and I've always loved it. And then up north in Detroit, they have Coney Islands. And so Coney Island isn't, what are you doing, dog? Get off your phone. They've got, you know, hot dogs with Coney sauce, but they sell all sorts of things, and they're open like 24 hours, and, you know, I don't know, cultural hot dog gravy sauce. But I'm hungry. It's comfort food. This is what America looks like if you're in a city, for those British folks watching, or Japanese, or whoever. You can see that big old American flags up there. But, you know, 3-4 lanes, lots of stops, lots of traffic, no sidewalks. You know, you gotta walk in the grass to your bus stop, if the bus is even running. I don't want to get on a tangent about how much I dislike American infrastructure, but, you know, it is what it is. So we'll get food, and then maybe we'll take it out on a wee bimble, if you will. Be that guy who vlogs his food or whatever, but this is the Skyline kind of experience. You get your oyster crackers, Coney dogs. They're like smaller than normal size hot dogs, if that's even a thing in Europe or outside of, you know, what have you. And they've got Pepsi products, Mountain Dew, and the big thing right now is they're moving to Coke, I guess, and everybody's upset about it. But now you can see what it looks like. Okay, so we've taken it on a ride after fiddling with everything. Now I want to see if we can get this aftermarket exhaust on here. I don't know what the shape of the gasket is here. I haven't ordered one. I don't know at all if it'll fit, but I'm going to probably try to support it a little bit. Might try to hit it with a little bit of polish. And what I noticed right here is we've got, I don't know if, like, I've seen it on a couple other bikes too, and maybe it's just coincidental, but it's like almost like somebody ran through some kind of acid or something. Whatever it was, it looks like it splashed up and ate through the paint. Maybe they were cleaning with bleach, or I don't know, because it sat in the basement. So, you know, your guess is as good as mine, but I've got some enamel-based model paint, and I might just touch these areas up. I'm guessing I probably should sand it, but I was just gonna dab some on there to kind of, I don't know, make it look a little less icky. You know, the goal here is to make it run good, but also make it look a little better. And don't think that's going to hurt us. But again, here is the Marshall. I think some people referenced it as a Marshall deep tone. I don't have any information on it other than, you know, it was made by Yama, which I think was a company in the Netherlands, Dutch. And they, I don't know, before I was born, we'll put it that way. I've got a bolt we can put through there to kind of clamp it down. It looks like it has a removable baffle, so we might try that out too, but ultimately it's going to have the baffle in because I'm not a loud bike kind of guy. I'm going to jam out some music, and this will probably be a time lapse. Okay, so I'm like a little bit, my sugar is a little bit low. I'm not diabetic, I just haven't eaten. So I thought this was going to be quick, and it really, for the most part, was. I touched up the black, some of this. I'll be able to like polish it, clean it up, maybe put another coat. It's not my best work, but it's less there than, you know, bare rust. So the chrome on this is a little bit different than the chrome on the rest of the pipes, which is going to bug me. Maybe it'll change when I get some heat in it. I don't know. It didn't want to fit with the tab on the bottom, so I switched it to the top, and that's a little better, but it's still not quite there. Doesn't seem like there's enough space for a gasket in there. So maybe it's going to leak. If you guys have opinions, recommendations, that would be super cool. But I'm going to take my microphone off, and we are going to hear how this sounds briefly, because it's like almost 10 p.m. I mean, it looks rad. I don't know. I don't not dig it. Also occurred to me that like there might not be a lot of chrome left on the regular headers because there is some rust under there. If I keep it, maybe I'll put on a repro. I've seen where there's a couple different options for that. So let's see how it sounds. All right, folks, it's time for another update, and I'm going to do a voiceover for this part because I have ADHD
and I didn't film everything in order. The Petcock at this point still hasn't shown up, but it does eventually, and it's rebuildable, which is really what I wanted. We can check off the exhaust. I think it's safe to say that the $100 eBay gamble was a total win, and I think it makes this bike at least 50% better. It's absolutely wonderful on the road. Cleaning, now is that really ever done? I can tell you that I clean this bike all the time, and I still find things that I missed before. But we're going to call it 90% here because it's looking really good. I'm also here to tell you that I might have lied. It's not quite time for ride and enjoy. We are going to fix that dent in the tank, and it's kind of something I glossed over a bit here, hoping that maybe I wouldn't get around to it. But I did. And then I promise we're going to get to the good part with some sweet, sweet exhaust and some wonderful back roads.
I want to be clear, I'm not endorsing that anybody do this. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I wanted to get one of those PDR kits and try it on some of these more, what I would consider a simple dent, right? It's not deep, it's not large, it's easy to access. I would think that it'll pop right out. So we've got our paintless dent kit here. It's the cheapest one I could find on Amazon, We've got little dimple guys. We've got glue sticks. There's black ones and there's white ones. I don't know what the difference is. It doesn't tell you because, of course, it doesn't. This is our actual dent pulling mechanism. Got some scrapers, which I don't think we're going to use. I've got this one selected for our dent. Our dent is right here. And from this side, it may be a little difficult to tell, especially with all the lights on the camera here, but you can see there, and you can see it in the videos when I'm riding the bike too. Such a minimal dent. When I got the bike, he was trying to pull it out with a similar tool, and I said, please stop. Not that he's doing anything wrong, but if the bike's gonna get screwed up, I want it to be my fault. I'd rather not screw it up at all, but originally, wanted to start with this one, but I think this tank's pretty solid, and I'm not sure if that kit's gonna do this or not. I don't know that it would be a good dent to start with, but we'll come back to this bike next. All right, folks, let's pray this isn't a huge mistake. So I've got the dent right here, and I think we're just gonna plumb it full. It's probably too much. And then we're gonna take our little guy. Don't know if that's in the right spot, if it's too big, too small, can't tell you. May need to do a little polish after this, I don't know. I mean, I hand polished the bike a little bit, but. So we want to get, there we go. Well, we probably want the leg flat first. All right, let's see if it does it. Didn't seem like there was a whole lot of action there. We maybe didn't wait long enough, I don't know. What a mess. Goodness gracious. Oh. Come on. It's Mr. Well, you know, I'd say it might be better than it was. It is better. All right, well, you know, if we got to do that twice, we got to do it twice. It's fine. Of course, I turned the gun off thinking we would get it done on the first shot. Doesn't smell like regular old hot glue, but I have a feeling it might be. Don't want to dent it again, but I figure pressure is probably good. Got a little bit of adjustment here. I'm going to see if we can get it close and then give it a good pop. That felt like we got somewhere. I think we're getting somewhere. I'm going to clean it with isopropyl. It was marring the tank a little, but I'm not sure if it's the clear coat that's angry or if it is the stuff on the paint that I'm cleaning off, or both. So hopefully I'm not ruining the clear coat. Usually you prep clear coat with isopropyl, but it's hard to say. That's way better though. Just got one smaller. I think maybe we'll just do a baby one like that. Nope, that didn't. I don't think we got a little more work to do. This doesn't seem to be marring the paint. Not that it's not already marred. Might do an oval. Can you guys see that? You can see it. I don't know, this might be too big. I'm not an expert on this. I understand why people get paid big bucks to do it. But it's not what this channel is necessarily about. All right. Yeah, we'll give that a minute. Still pretty sticky. The Chinese instructions indicate that it's, I think they're trying to say that it's best to do it while it's still kind of warm. I don't know. I could have read more instructions, probably, maybe. We'll try the small one more time, and then I might have to just call it a day. I'm very tired of doing this, but I'm also a perfectionist. So this is the last time for real. I've said it's the last time the last 5 times. Then we'll polish. I've got, I mean, it doesn't look too bad on the camera, but it's pretty marred up and gross, and we'll get this paint really gleaming, if you will. But I want to be careful because it seems to mar easily, which, you know, obviously means it's pretty soft paint, pretty soft clear coat. All right, that is what it is. I'm done, I promise. Compared to what it was, I'm pretty happy with that. You can see the marring. I might give it just a polish here. All right, we've done marred the paint up, and I want to fix that. We still got a tiny little bit of a dent here, The tape in the middle is really just so I can show you guys before and after. But what we want to do is use a dual action polisher. We're going to use a light polish. Sometimes you'll see it set as a finishing polish. There's a heavy cut polish. Usually that's an orange pad. We're going to use a white pad with a light cut. This clear coat seems to be pretty soft, and even if it's not, you should always start with the least aggressive and see what kind of results you get. If it's not working, then you go up to more aggressive. But you want to be careful because I don't know how thick the clear coat is here. I don't have a tool to measure it. Something else you should do is use a clay bar. This is not a clay bar per se, but it's a clay tool. Most of the modern ones look like this, and it's a lot easier, and it's not actual clay, so if you drop it, you can clean it. I did that a little while ago. It hasn't really sat outside or anything, so we're not going to worry too much about that, but I'm going to give it one more wipe down with the isopropyl alcohol, and then we're going to give it a light cut here, light polish, and then after that we'll put some wax on it. And I won't show you guys the whole thing because it gets kind of repetitive after a little while. We're also not really going to do the side of the tank. It's not too scratched up, and I don't want to do this any more than we have to do it. If it were a car or something, I might treat it a little bit differently, but yeah, so be it. This is one of my nice microfibers. This is a Rag Company Eagle Edgeless. I need to order some new ones because they're all pretty wore out, but we'll use that to clean this up, make sure we're not adding any scratches. I know I've been using, well, the other one was Eagle Edgeless too, but it's a little less sexy. So we're going to use this HD polish. It was good at the time when I bought it a few years ago. I don't know if there's like cooler and more better stuff now, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put on our pad just a few drops. You don't want to use too much or you'll make a mess, but that's what I usually go to prime. It's 4 or 5. You don't need much. And we're gonna tap it around just to get that distributed. Then we have a speed here. I'm gonna set it to 1 just to get this wiped in. And then we're gonna turn our speed up. So we're gonna go all the way up to like a 4. So you can see it starts to flash off, and that's kind of when you know you need to be about done. Sometimes the tape will come up, you'll get a little residue. Something to note here, I don't have it marked on this one, but what you can do is put a little paint mark or a little marker rub here, and it'll let you know that this is still rotating. So once this is kind of started to flash off, when you start to see it, look shiny, like there's not any, polish on there anymore, then that's kind of when you stop. You want to bring the pad to a stop on the paint where you're going to fling stuff or make a mess. When you get to this point, we'll wipe it off, check it, see if we need to do another pass. And you notice that I was going zigzag and then straight and then zigzag and then straight. So you want to hit it from different angles. The point of the dual action polisher is to make it difficult to burn the paint, get it too hot. And the reason for that is it's got a weight and it's going back and forth as it spins around. But But if you press too hard or you've got a weird angle, it's just gonna vibrate and it's not gonna spin. So we can put a mark on the foam or mark on the disc if you got one of the 5.5 inches, and that'll let you see, make sure that you're rotating. And some people put pressure on it. You know, you've got the handle here, but usually the weight of the orbital polisher is gonna be plenty. So I'm gonna wipe this off and we'll see what kind of results we've got. See if we need to go for a second pass. We'll use a little bit more quick detailer. Quick detailer is always a good way to have a little extra insurance. If you're cleaning the bike up and you're not ready to wax it, what have you. So let's bring in, just see what our work has yielded. I think it's bright enough in here that I can show you. So you can see there, definite before and after, right? Could use maybe another go around. You can see the leftovers of that little dent there. It's still a little present, especially under the bright LED lighting. But won't be so noticeable outside of the garage. And again, I don't know if I can go for perfect. I'll be here all day. Might as well just tear the whole bike down. So I'm going to finish up polishing and show you guys what it looks like when I'm done. All right, so I got it finished polishing. I said I wasn't going to polish the whole tank, and most of you don't know me, but I polished the whole tank. And it looks pretty good. I just couldn't help myself because it came out good. It didn't look like it was hurting anything. And, you know, the paint is in good condition. Of course, this bike has been sitting inside most of its life in climate controlled area, so if I am quick enough, I can probably pull it outside and get some sun on it today. I also polished up the cap a little bit here because it was pretty scratched up. So it'll look pretty good here in a minute. All right, I'm no body guy, but what I can do ain't too bad. I don't know if I want to mess with these. The stickers don't seem to be clear coated, so probably leave them alone. And I mean it this time. So there's what's left of the dent. Well, what was supposed to be a quick afternoon in the garage has turned into a great big mess. A great big success. Off camera, I got the Petcock and I changed it out. Not too exciting, but you'll get the idea. Tank dent, we're gonna call it good, but you know, 90%, whatever, right? And then, I don't know, we're gonna leave the cleaning where it's at. Something that I did also off camera that's not on our list is the lights. So I was riding this the other day to Two Stroke Tuesday, and I lost a headlight in the neighborhood, which is not something that you want to happen in the dark. And I popped a fuse because apparently the H4 bulb that I put in here, the same one that's on David Silver spares, popped the old 7-amp fuse. It could be because the fuse is from the 70s, or it could just be too much power. But I know this thing has trouble keeping up with charging, and I think that's just what it is, because the way the Stator is, it doesn't charge very well at idle. I think it maybe even uses the battery more than it charges at idle. But I changed that, and I wasn't going to change the lights to LED But the turn signal bulbs just came in, and I put an LED in the tail light here, which is it not working? Uh-oh. I think we just have a low battery. Yeah. Also got a period correct license plate. It's not registered to me. You can look it up. I don't care. I know everybody questions that on the other bikes, but anyway, pretty cool. You can run those as long as you have the actual plate for the bike. So I think what's next, you know, after I charge the battery, is to ride and enjoy.